We just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know 2020 hasn't been great, so we're looking forward to 2021.
Yep, Merry Christmas everybody. Thanks for watching, subscribing and all the comments you do on the channel. Right, let's run the video. Happy Christmas.
Hi and welcome to RCKicks. I'm Rebecca and on today's show I'm going to be building the racing Buggy Sand Scorcher. So that's kit 58452. Now Gavin tells me we've got YouTube magic here, so I'm going to give it a go and unpack it. Excellent, it worked. Should we see if that works to tidy the rest of the house? Maybe not. Okay, so we've got everything laid out. We're going to start on page 4, number 1. Interesting fact for you before we start. The part of the gearbox was actually used on the Terminator head in the films. Okay, let's crack on. There's a ball diff upgrade option for this, part number 54897. It's quite expensive though, £40. It's a very simple diff, you'll have no problems putting this together. All the bearings you need are included in the kit. You'll use a lot of Loctite on the bolts in this kit as you're screwing into a lot of metal parts. Page 4, step 2, we're attaching the rear arms. This is something you don't see very often anymore, rear torsion bar suspension. Oh, and look at my nice belt I bought myself for Christmas. You have to put a temporary body pin in the axle to hold it in place, then you'll replace this later. Page 5, step 3, fitting the motor. This is something I haven't seen before. You actually clamp the motor in place instead of screwing into it. You have two options for the spur gear, the high ratio setting or the low ratio setting. We went with the high ratio. Page 5, step 5. It would be really nice if this rear guard was in metal, but I can understand why it's not, it's a rear bumper. this is where I've got to so far. I've just finished page 5, step 5. So I'm just about to go on to step 6 on page 6. Looks like we're doing the dampeners next. It's quite different to the other kits that I've built before because it's a vintage one. Obviously very different kind of ideas on this one. So let's crack on with the next step.
Page 6, step number 6. I can't say I was impressed with these shocks. We may look for some others to replace them.
In my shoes, world on my shoulders, a heart full of blues out in the dirt, down in the dirt.
I struggled with the damper assembly as they kept leaking, so Gav helped with this and added an extra BE3. When fitting these BF5 black collars, be really careful as it's easy to cross thread them. Page 6, step 8. Attaching the roll bar.
I'm up to page 7, step number 9 now. There was a few issues on the last couple of pages. I managed to put the roll bar on the wrong way round, so I've turned that the correct way now. The shocks were really tricky. Gav helped with those. They were leaking out all over the place. He's put on an extra BE3 on those to try and stop the leaking, and also we've turned them the opposite way round to the manual, so upside down, and put them on like that. I also missed off the cover for the gear housing, but luckily I could fit that in and I've tightened that up and put it on. So moving on now to step number 10.
On to page 7, step number 9. We're now attaching the rear gearbox to the chassis. We now turn our attention to the front of the car. We're on step number 10 on page 7, the front axles. This buggy has a really unique front end.
It's not as nice as your rear end, my love.
Page 7, on to step number 11. I found this part quite fussy. There's lots going on in each of these steps. Don't worry about making sure the ball plate is in the right place. Just concentrate on screwing it into the MB11. Then you can turn the ball plate to be in the right place afterwards. After all my hard work, I can now connect up the front member. So we're on page 8, step number 12.
Rebecca said member.
Even though the front is quite fussy, it actually looks really beautiful when it comes together.
So we decided to fit the shocks upside down versus what it says in the manual. Now it seems a bit bonkers really, because once it's sitting on the shelf, it seemed inevitable that it was going to leak. So by putting them up the wrong way round, the oil just sits in the damper.
Page 8, step number 13. This must be one of the most unique servo savers that Tamiya have made. Continuing on page 8, step number 14. The front end is on now, so it's beginning to look like a car. Page 9, step number 15. I can finally attach the front bumper, but first I have to remove these two lugs, probably left over from another kit. I've skipped ahead a little bit here, as I couldn't wait to get the wheels on and get it looking like a finished car. Look at where I'm up to. It's actually starting to resemble a car now. Just finished page 9, step 16. I've put the wheels on. So these metal wheels were given to Gav. He did have them on a grasshopper, but they look really nice with all the metal on this car. Look at that suspension. It's really saggy. It just brings, it's quite a strange stance there. You can see that. It didn't seem to make any difference putting the shocks on the other way round, so we've done that front and back. Okay, moving on now, we've got the electronics to do, so we'll go on to page 10, step number 17. Page 10, number 17. Gavin sorted out the electronics and centred up the servo. We're running a bit low on electronics, so we used whatever we could find. On to step number 18. I can see what they were trying to do to make everything waterproof, but it is a bit of a faff.
The RC skills are strong in this one.
It's all coming together and it looks like it should in the manual, which is always a bonus.
Look at that, all finished. It was a really good build, very different from the more modern kits that I've done. It was really interesting to see some of the methods that were used in this kit. Few things to note from those last few steps. There was no servo saver included in the kit, so Gav had to source one from one of his other kits and we made that work. The battery, if you can see the battery compartment in there, it's really small. That one is not going to fit. So Gav needs to get one for his banger cars, and then we'll use that one in here as well. The next part will be onto the body. So I'm not going to do much of this bit, Gav is. He's really good at the painting. I might do some of the decals. On to the next part.
Check out one of these videos for some more RC fun.